All right, guys, this is our second grade reading lesson for Tuesday, August 25th. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I will show you what we did in class. First, if you go to Google Classroom, you'll find all the resources for today. The help PowerPoint, that's our story help underneath. All of these topics are organized with the title, okay, with the title. And so this is the title of the book that we're reading. The help PowerPoint has the story on it and our whole, I go through the slideshow as part of our lesson. So you can always look through this. You can also read the book in your big book if you don't want to read it on the PowerPoint. It's just another option for you guys. So I'll go ahead and present. So what we're going to continue talking about this week is we're talking about character, settings. We're going to start talking about details, those text evidence that we can pull from the story. And we're going to be talking about characteristic traits. A characteristic trait is something that we use to describe the inside of a person. So this is a really good idea, really good visual of what we're talking about. So here we go. We have a second grader. And we put all these things that we expect out of a second grader in that person. So they're genuine, they're responsible, they're special, they're motivated, brave, it's a big one. They show pride, they're a mathematician, they're helpful, they're flexible, they're a thinker. Those are all great things, okay? Now notice I didn't put on there short, tall, strong, weak, long hair, short hair. I didn't put all those. Those are things that describe the outside of a person. We want to describe who a person is about. All these things describe what you're about. Okay, you're responsible, you're motivated, you're kind, you're hardworking. You can also have negative ones. You can also be impolite or angry, unhappy. Right? You can have negative, bossy. You can have negative character traits too, and that's okay. We're all made up of positive characteristic traits and negative characteristic traits. So one thing I want you to do before Thursday is I want you to draw a picture of yourself, just like this, just the outline. And I want you to think of at least 10 characteristic traits that you can put inside your person. And remember, it is the inside. It is who I am on the inside. And I don't want you to say nice, mean, happy, sad. I want you to use this sheet to think about what are some really good complex words you can use. Instead of nice, you're pleasant, courteous, compassionate. Instead of happy, you are joyful. Instead of brave, you are courageous, fearless. Instead of smart, you are clever, bright. Right? Pick from these words at least 10 and put them just like we did here. Write them inside your person so that you remember characteristic trait is who we are on the inside. It's who we are on the inside. It's not what we look like. It's not what we act like. It's who we are as a person. What do you stand for? Who are you? You are loved. Look at that. Everybody should write that down. Everyone is loved in here. Okay? Think about what are the things that makes you special. Okay? Your character traits are what make you special. So make sure you do that before Thursday. And here's our story, help. I will read it real quick, I guess. It's not very long. It's on page 36 and 37 of your big book. It's a story of friendship. And I want you to be thinking about, here's our essential question. Think about, how do friends depend on each other? How do friends depend on each other? One morning, Hedgehog found Mouse covering himself with leaves. What in the world are you doing? Asked Hedgehog. I'm hiding, said Mouse, from Snake. From our friend Snake? Asked Hedgehog. Now I want you to stop and think. Every time you read a page, 2 pages, stop and think, who are the characters and what's happening in the story? So even though you're at home, I want you to do the same thing. Who are the characters and what's happening in the story? And why do you think Mouse is so afraid of Snake? Why do you think Mouse is so afraid of Snake? So take a second to do those 3 things. Who's in the story, what's happening, and then talk to the person next to you and say, why do you think Mouse is so afraid of Snake? Why do you think he's so afraid of Snake? Pause the video and do that now. Yes, Mouse whispered. Fox told Skunk, and Skunk told me that snakes are very dangerous to mice. That's silly gossip, said Hedgehog. You know Snake would never hurt you. Come on. We can walk together and you'll be perfectly safe. Mouse hesitated. I insist, said Hedgehog. So Mouse went along. Hedgehog talked about little things, but Mouse wasn't paying attention. He was still worrying about Snake. He looked around nervously. He looked everywhere but at his feet. What do you think's going to happen? He looked everywhere but his feet. What do you think's going to happen to him? What do you think's going to happen to him? Stop and make a prediction. What do you think's going to happen before you turn that page? That happens to the mouse. He's looking everywhere. He's staying safe, but he's not looking at his feet. What could be the worst thing that happens if you don't look at your feet? Oh, help! Hedgehog peered down. You should be afraid of yourself, Mouse, not of Snake. It's not funny, Mouse yelled. I've hurt my foot and I can't get out. Are you sure? Hedgehog shouted. Yes, Mouse yelled. Stay calm, said Hedgehog. I'll get help. Just then, Squirrel walked by. Mouse has gotten it into his head to be afraid of Snake, said Hedgehog. He was so nervous that he didn't watch where he was going. He fell into a hole and hurt his foot, and now he can't get out. Can you help? The squirrel couldn't help. It'll be too dark, she said, and there might be spiders. When we're thinking about, let's stop here, when we're thinking about characteristic traits, what do you think could be some of Squirrel's characteristic traits? He said he can't stop because it's too dark and there might be spiders. What do you think are some of Squirrel's characteristic traits? Take a second to think about that. You can always go back to that first slide and look at those characteristic traits that we had. But what do you think describes him as a person on the inside? It will be too dark, she said, and there might be spiders. What do you think that's about? Rabbit came along, and Hedgehog told him about Mouse and Snake. You know how to go down holes, said Hedgehog. Rabbit looked into the hole. Hello, Mouse, he yelled. It's too deep, Rabbit said to Hedgehog, and the walls are too straight. I wouldn't be able to hop out. Why don't you go, Hedgehog? Asked Squirrel. Because Mouse would have to get on my back, and my prickles would hurt him, Hedgehog said. Mouse started to cry. Let's look at those couple last sentences there. They said, why don't you go, Hedgehog? Asked Squirrel. Because Mouse would have to get on my back, and my prickles would hurt him, Hedgehog said. What do you think is Hedgehog's characteristic trait from those two sentences? Because Mouse would have to get on my back, and my prickles would hurt him. What is he like as a person on the inside? What is he like on the person on the inside? And we're going to stop here for today. And your assignment on Google Classroom is going to be a stop and check, and it's going to be this visualize down here. How might Mouse feel at the bottom of the hole? So go back to this page and try to figure out how might Mouse feel at the bottom of this hole, and give me a detail from the story that proves your point. Give me a detail from the story that proves your point. Now, if you missed class today, we drew this chart and we read this story and we picked out key details from the story. So this story, they're telling us about the 4 seasons, and I want to pick out details that tell me about each season. So if you didn't do this in class, make sure you do it tonight. And then I'm going to make a video just about the grammar. So this goes along with just our story today. Just our story today. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did.